From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What up, everybody? Ooh, that echoed. That reverberated, Corey. It's the acoustics of this place. We're here at the Civic Center, TLCCC, the Tuck.
The Tuck, the Don.
Can somebody just sponsor this thing?
Who's Donald L. Tucker, by the way? Have you ever looked him up?
I haven't. You want to do that while I
you
through
wrap
the
up
intro of the show?
You know, go through the news of the day for people just waking up.
What up, everybody? It's Wake Up War Chant. It's a lifestyle, not just a podcast. I'm Aslan. He's Corey Clark.
There's the T-shirt.
Give us a follow on the Twitter machine, Wake Up War Chant, all one word, or you can follow Corey with an E, _ Clark without the E. And I still need to come up with a better handle on Twitter. Just, I don't know, go follow Wake Up War Chant, and you can see my handle. I don't even like calling myself Aslan Hodges anymore. What a sellout. It's my TV days. Plenty to talk about. Lots of comings and goings in the world of college football in terms of recruiting Florida State. I don't want to say the rich get richer, man, but that offensive line is starting to come together. 2 more pledges, commitments, verbal commitments, likely to sign. I think they're probably early enrollees that will sign on the early signing period, which starts
One's
tomorrow.
a JUCO, right?
Yes, correct. So that happened. A potential not grad transfer, but a potential transfer quarterback, some murmurings that possibly he's got interest in Florida State. We'll talk about that. But all right, let's talk about the basketball game and the namesake of the arena.
Donald L. Tucker is still alive, by the way.
Okay.
Born in 1935. He was the Speaker of the Florida House of Representatives from 76 to 80.
Okay.
I
Good
mean,
stretch.
all right, but
had to deal with the Carter years.
And he earned his Juris Doctorate degree from the University of Florida.
That's right.
In 1962. Yeah. So the place that Florida State plays in is named after a Florida grad. Yeah. That's fine. You know, Deckerhoff's a Florida grad. He loves his Noles. Yeah. This guy he loves Tallahassee anyway.
Al Dunlap's what's Al Dunlap? Is he a midshipman or is he a
I don't know. I think so, but who knows?
Black Knight.
But anyway, so yeah, I just assumed he was dead. I don't know why, but he's not. Donald, it's glad to know that you're still on the earth, thriving at 83 years young. And he was it doesn't look like he did anything incredible on his Wikipedia page other than serve in the Florida House of Representatives. But either way, that's something. And he was the special ambassador for the United States to the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
So there you go.
I'd love to be an ambassador.
That would be pretty sweet, wouldn't it?
One of the best jobs, gotta imagine. All right, Florida State improves a 9-1, 85-68 winners over SEMO. That's Southeast Missouri to you novices. This game was kind of too close for comfort, man. They went into half tied. What happened?
They were tied at half. They were down by 4 in the second half, maybe down by as much as 6. The other team was hitting shots and Florida State wasn't. Sometimes with this sport, it is that simple. Florida State was getting good looks. They had good shots by good shooters. They just kept rimming out. It was really bizarre. I think they ended up hitting like 7 of 27 from 3, but at one point they were like 3 of 20.
7 of 26.
There you go. Sorry, I apologize. And I think they were one of 12 in the first half. So at halftime they were being outscored by 18 points from the 3-point line. So anyway, they kind of got that squared away. They got their defense really squared away in the second half. And man, it's Southeast Missouri State. It ain't Duke, and it's not even Clemson or Georgia Tech or anybody. But
it's not Wichita State.
Devin Vassell, we probably need a Vassell.
Yeah.
Vaseline. When he hits a leaner, little Vaseliner. We call him a Vaseliner. There you go. Little STP. R.I.P. Wieland.
DLT.
Didn't see that one coming. Anyway, that kid, I think he has a chance to be something, man. He got
the Corey Clark sort of knighting. He's got a chance to be really, really good tweet. I like those are my favorite.
Yeah, man, but because it's number one, I take it with a grain of salt because I know the competition and I know that he hadn't done anything against Clemson or again Duke, North Carolina, but he's like a 6'6" wiry kid, but can shoot. And he just has a knack of being around the ball, and he can
David
score
Nichols
at the rim.
As much, right?
Yeah, David Nichols was like, every time he comes into the game, it's like Devin Vassell, 2 points. Just turns around and looks, and he's already scoring. He just has a knack for scoring the ball, and he's also long and active on defense. So I think, man, I see him. I don't know. He's a different player than Trent Forrest. Yeah. But I think by year 2 or year 3, he will have a Trent Forrest type impact on this program. I think he has a chance to be a really good ACC player.
It's crazy.
And Nichols, too, by the way, has really come on the last 2 games.
It's just crazy. All these different guys just kind of said, your turn. I mean, Ham said it. They're winning by committee.
Yeah, so in the game against UConn, Terrence Mann, I think, scored 21, 22 points. And this one, he hit 1 basket. He had 5 points.
How'd they tee him up on that? He literally was looking behind him to make sure he wasn't going to land on anybody after he dunked it. And they teed him up for hanging on the rim for too long.
Can't catch a break, man. They're out for old
The
team,
refs, man. The refs
I know.
always
He's a senior. Give him some love.
Who do the Noles got on Wednesday?
I believe they have North Florida.
Okay, that sounds right.
So that should be a dub to get them to 10-1, and then they got St. Louis, I believe, on Saturday maybe in Sunrise, Florida.
The
Beautiful
Billikens.
Sunrise.
The Billikens.
And St. Louis is actually a decent team. They'll have to play better than they did tonight, or they'll lose. But then you're looking at, and I think they have Winthrop, and they have like an 8 or 9 day break. They're going to get to go home for a few days and go to Christmas, and then I think they play on New Year's Day actually, which is odd. So hey. Guys,
Forgot the
one
playoff.
Florida State sport is playing on New Year's Day.
Hey.
It's the basketball team. So anyway, they'll be favored in these next 3 games. They have a chance to be 12-1 going to Virginia to open up ACC play. Now they open up with Virginia, Miami, Duke. It's not the easiest stretch, but 12-1, 11-2, 12-1, somewhere around there. You'd be pretty happy with the non-conference.
How about Chris Kumaji, man? 6 of 6.
Yeah,
7
they were
boards,
all. Yeah, they were all dunks.
4
That's
blocks.
fine. He was fine. He was fine. He was good. He was fine.
You see how he does the thumbs down?
Yeah,
now?
he's done that. It's pretty cool. His little when he blocks someone, he does the thumbs down. That's a cool little celebration. The big story, other than Vassell, to me, is number one. Forrest was awesome again. That's what he does. Kofor playing some. Now, he didn't do anything. He played 5 minutes, didn't hit a shot, had two shots go in and out, maybe 3 shots. He had 3. He had
good 4.
Yeah, 3 of them were in and out. I mean, they were good looks. They just didn't go in. And Leonard said after the game that he didn't want to push it. He thought they pushed it last year with Kumaji, and that he kind of developed some tendonitis, so they're going to be careful with him. I think they're going to play him. He played 5 minutes. Maybe he'll play 10 on Wednesday, and then maybe against St. Louis 15, 17, something like that. And then you really work him into the rotation. That's the plan. But just getting him out there again is a big deal. Will be a big deal come ACC play.
The only thing I don't miss about doing radio is that at least I had a button to push if I had to cough.
Yeah.
Now I just have to awkwardly take the mic away from my mouth and fling it into the air and then cough.
And you're crying.
Elbow. I'm always crying, man. It's an emotional time out there for me. All right, let's talk about some football now. We'll have Michael Langston on the program later to give us maybe a little more of a thorough breakdown. But Florida State adds Jay Williams. He's a junior college offensive lineman out of Southern California or somewhere in California playing JUCO ball. He's a tackle.
How big is he? Does it say?
I think he's 6'6", 290, I want to say. I'm trying to confirm that. Stand by. But they also they pulled the steal off, and I don't know. I always feel a little bit weird about those. He is 6'6", 290. Look at that. Go through first.
You did that. Kids. You were looking at that side. That's a frame. Although he's already a JUCO kid, so he's not gonna get much bigger than that. You wouldn't think.
So that's a kid that you're assuming will come in here and compete for instant reps and some playing time, or at least push guys. Hey, Juwan Williams, don't be thinking that you're just gonna walk in.
Abdul Bello, hey man, sorry buddy. Yeah. You have to. Yeah, it ain't written in pen that you're starting. It's written in invisible ink.
Yeah. And then also Miami Central Rocket center Maurice Smith. Who was
Miami Central?
Yeah.
Devontae and Dalvin's school, right?
Telly Lockett School.
There you go, man. Hey, that's a nice little pipeline, whatever that is. Was Matthew Thomas from there, too? Was he from another one?
No, he's from Booker T, I think.
There you go. Now you're talking. But, yeah, Miami Central's been good to Florida State.
It's not fair. I feel a little bit bad. I think you're Boston College. Put in all this time. It's like having a long-distance relationship, and then all of a sudden, some guy in another cubicle starts hitting on your girlfriend. It's like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Is your boyfriend out of town? He's always out of town. He lives up in Massachusetts. You want to come over? Okay.
Just watch a movie. We're just going to watch a movie. Yeah. There's the Springsteen thing on Netflix. I want to watch that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of what.
Like that. You start these relationships, and then we talk about all the time. Oh, recruiting's all about relationships. And then as soon as the kid's like, "Oh, I can go to Florida State. I can stay in state. I'm there."
So
I'm not. And
that happens to.
It's funny to me.
But that happens to just going back to that happens to Florida State basketball quite a bit because when they land a big time kid and they're in on the number one player in the country, the Anthony Edwards kid out of Atlanta. Well, they've known about that kid for 2 years, and they've had a real relationship with him. Well, then he blows up, and then all of a sudden, Coach K's calling me now, and Izzo, and Roy Williams, and all those. Well, Leonard and CY and those guys have had that relationship for a while. That's just part of the deal when you're the Boston Colleges of the world. I was saying, I was talking to Ira at the game, at the basketball game, and I was like, man, normally if you stole a 3-star from Boston College at any other position, you'd be like, man, what's going on here? We're having to scrape the barrel with Boston College kids. But, man, they recruit linemen and they develop linemen. Yep. That is what that program does. Adazio does that. And if that's like the seal of approval, man. Just go. That would be my recruiting strategy.
Yep.
Who's committed to Adazio?
Yeah.
Let's get them all. Screw that dude. Like, that's your comeuppance for 35-3. We're going to steal every one of your offensive line recruits because those guys block, man. They're big, bad beasts. All those dudes at Boston College. So if you're going to steal from a position segment at Boston College, you steal from the offensive line.
Kind of weird that the Telly Lockett is a Miami Central guy, and then this kid I don't think has really been on the radar up until the last few weeks. But, guys bloom late. So, whatever. I mean, the Kevon, it is Kevon. I think Kevon. It's because it's Kevon. I might call him Kevin or something.
Yeah.
So
what is he?
He's a linebacker.
Oh, that's right.
That's position of need, but he's a guy that it's a senior tape, which I think is kind of refreshing, right? I mean, so many of these kids their whole recruiting is based on sophomore and junior year tape. It's good to see a kid that's actually playing senior year and producing. So maybe that's Maurice Smith as well. Obviously, a little bit of a late bloomer. So those are two guys.
Maurice Smith is the kid from Miami.
Miami Central.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me get you some numbers on him. He's 6'2", 280. He's a center.
Going to be a center.
Interior guy.
All right.
So that's good. Bavion, Brady Scott. Don't think. They're just walking on to the Al Dunlap practice field and just,
It ain't happening, man. You got to bring it.
From Alec Eberle, man. Just don't fill Alec Eberle's shoes.
So they're going to have, what are they going to sign? I mean, they got to bring in linemen. They just got to. And look, the thing about offensive line is it is by far the hardest position to evaluate, probably in college sports, period. There's really nothing. I mean, maybe centers in college basketball, but you can tell if a guy's going to be dominant with his bounce and his athletic ability and his basketball IQ. In football, you just don't know. There will be the number one. Like Alabama at times has signed the number one offensive lineman in the country, and he's never played.
Yeah.
That happened at USC a handful of years ago. Jeff Byers, for some reason, that name rings a bell. I don't think he ever played there. Or if he did, it was like his junior year. It's really hard to evaluate because sometimes you just don't know if they're good or if they're just bigger and stronger than the guys they're going up against. So with that being said, if you bring in 6 offensive linemen, well, okay, you're not going to hit on all 6. That's just not how the sport works. If you hit on 3, and if you hit on 2 that become guys that can play on Sunday, well, all of a sudden you're working with something. All of a sudden you're cooking with a little gas. And that's all you're trying to do. You throw numbers at it. If you just overwhelm them with numbers, one of them's got to be good.
Well, I think that was the optimistic take from was it the 16 class? Was that
that was Dickerson,
and
right?
Juwan Williams and excuse me, everybody. I apologize. I'm trying to work through this.
Sound like me now. And I got that too, man. I can't shake it, folks. I'm sorry. I will apologize. I should apologize every show for the way I have to clear my throat. I'm trying to get better. Apparently, I'm contagious because now Aslan has it.
We are falling.
But I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to take care of my acid reflux. I think that's a culprit.
Okay.
So I'm going back on the Prilosec. Shout out to Prilosec. Hey, by the way, folks, we have a new sponsor. Wake Up War Chant brought to you by Prilosec.
The Florida State offseason brought to you by Prilosec.
Yeah, just if you feel like throwing up. Anyway, so I apologize for everyone. I know that's awful to hear in your ears. I'm trying my best. And I try to cover the mic when I have to do it. Aslan doesn't care.
Well, no, I'm trying. Man, don't say that. But yeah, we'll talk to Mike later on about some more of the recruiting stuff. But again, fairly encouraging. They're getting guys from the offensive line that they need.
It's tomorrow. National Signing Day is tomorrow, and you got. I think Florida State.
They don't care about an offensive coordinator. Apparently, these kids.
Apparently not. And I think Florida State fans.
Sorry, I apologize.
Well, I was going to say I think Florida State fans. I hate using this adjective, but I'm going to use it just for a point. Aslan just coughed again, everyone. It echoed. It really does echo here. I hate using this word, but there might not be a lot of sexy in this recruiting class. And Florida State fans love that stuff. They love the big-time running backs, receivers, DBs, the 5-star defensive linemen, all that. I get it.
Because they love writing posts 3 years later after the kid doesn't do anything and just bashing him.
Right. But I think in this instance, man, I think all Florida State fans, almost all of them, whether they're just kind of casual fans or diehard fans, how many linemen did we get? That's all Florida State fans are rightly caring about, and that's what they're doing. So it's not going to be, I like the 03 class, the 02 class that had Booker, Leon Washington, those guys. It ain't going to be like that. or the Winston Mario Edwards one. But if you can load up with some linemen, man, that's what they're trying to do. That's what they're trying to do. And I don't think Florida State fans are even going to care about the ranking. If you're 12th in the country or 14th in the country, if you got 7 offensive linemen coming in, all right, sounds like it was a good class.
Yeah. Well,
now they need to play. They need to be able to play.
I mean, Cam Irving, Josue, I mean, those guys really weren't. I mean, Trey Jackson were not really. Brian Stork, these weren't really highly ranked, sexy
Cam
guys.
was a 2-star defensive tackle.
Yeah, so
Brian Stork was a 2-star tight end.
Yeah, so it happens. What I did want to point out, and I'm sure somebody else has pointed this out already. So the scuttlebutt or whatever is that it's eventually going to be Kendall Briles, barring some sort of 11th hour or 11th day or 11th week change. And he's also supposedly going to bring in his offensive line coach buddy from Houston as well. Well, the fact that they're able to recruit these kids, these offensive linemen, makes you kind of believe that Greg Fry's probably going to stick around then, right? I mean,
so
that'd be tough to think that he
wasn't Greg
it
Fry
happens in places that,
a co-offensive line coach at Michigan.
Yeah, he was like tackles and tight ends or something like that.
So maybe that's the if that's truly what's happening. It doesn't mean you have to get rid of Fry. I mean, I just remembered that. I should have remembered that way back when this started. But yeah, I mean, you can have co-offensive line coaches, if you want.
You have defensive line I mean, you got tackles coach and ends coach. I guess.
I mean, you feel like you have to figure out somebody that's not going to be coaching on the staff. You can't have 11 coaches, but I mean, it seems like that would be a way to handle that. You have this guy recruiting for you now, and he's a Nole. And if the new guy's coming in, all right, well, again, I think they should have 6 offensive line coaches. I mean, just whatever it takes, man. They should have every quality control assistant as an offensive line guy until it gets fixed.
And it does seem like that's the way Fry ran practices, that he had the GA. I think the offensive – they have they have 4 GAs. I think they're allowed to have 4 grad assistants.
Oh, yeah.
Teams.
I mean, I know what a GA is.
So I know you're kind of looking at me puzzled, I think.
No, I didn't know what you were asking. 4 for the whole staff or 4 for the
4 for the entire staff.
Yeah.
I think 2 offense, 2 defense. So I think Freddie Knighton was one of the GAs on offense, was working with Walt Bell and the quarterbacks. I haven't looked at his Twitter bio lately. I think he hasn't changed it to say like he's at UMass. So I don't know if Walt Bell – you would think Walt Bell would have brought him with him, but
no, I think he is at UMass.
Oh, did he go with him?
Yeah,
I mean,
you should look at that.
Yeah, you should take your buddies with you. That's how this
you want me to look?
This is how life works. I'm on it. Click on his Twitter bio. It's loading. Slow internet here at the DLT. Yeah, UMass football. Good for you, man. Good for you. Amherst, beautiful town, I bet. Is Amherst close to Boston?
I mean, I feel like it's a small state, so everything's kind of close.
The Bay State, huh?
Yeah.
So Fry would do it where he would work with like tackles and guards usually were kind of operating on different parts of that little patch of grass they had. He'd bring them together and they'd line up, 3 or 4 side by side and do some drills too. But it seems like there was times where it would be tackle, he would just focus on tackles and his GA would work with the guards and they would kind of swap. So, maybe he's, like you said, pointing to his past at Michigan, maybe that's something he's receptive to and open to. Like, hey, man, whatever, man.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that. I mean, they're going to have. So that's 2 offensive line commits. They already had 2, right? Lucas and the other one, right?
Yeah.
Or do they just have the one before now?
Yeah.
But either way, they got 3 or 4 offensive line commitments already. You have to tell these kids something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't just say, "Hey, who's going to be my coach?" Don't ask me that. Either sign or don't. Like you obviously you're not saying that. It's none of your business, Dante, who your coach is. You're playing for. I'm your coach. I'm Willie Taggart. So they have to know something. They have to have been to have these kind of commitments like this. You would think the offensive line recruits are pretty confident in who they're going to be playing for.
Actually, that brings them up to 3, Corey. That's my bad for nodding you.
Yeah, I think they had one in the Mississippi kid, right?
Yeah,
He decommitted.
Charles Cross.
So,
yeah,
but they also have a couple more that they're expecting, I think, right?
Well, Michael Langston said yesterday they think they have a pretty good shot. The kid from Plant High School, the Will Putnam kid, which I find it hard to. I thought that he was going to go to Clemson or Auburn. It just felt like he's a guy that comes from the Midwest. His dad's high up in like the Navy.
If he's in the Navy, then it would make sense, Clemson or Auburn, because they both have lakes.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly what I was.
Yeah, that's that
exactly
what you meant? He gets to be
funny.
around water.
So what happened here? You tweeted about it. It's out there. It's floating. This Brandon Fields, is that his name? Justin Fields. What's it? Brandon Fields.
Man,
Brandon
I hope he
Fields
doesn't listen to this either. He's not going to come to Florida State. They don't even know my first name.
So Kirby Smart goes to see this kid in a helicopter when he's in high school, and that's not showing the love. Apparently, after 1 year in Athens, the greatest college town in America?
Oh, it's up there for sure.
I still haven't been. We got to go. We
should do a remote.
We should. We should.
Yeah.
So Justin Fields, 5-star, all-everything quarterback for the 2018 recruiting class, enrolls at Georgia behind 5-star, all-everything 2017 5-star standout Jake Fromm.
I don't think Fromm was as highly regarded coming out of high school, but he was highly regarded. And
dude, he had his own reality show. Fromm.
Yeah, but I still think he was. I think he was a 4-star kid, and but he was committed, I believe, to Alabama. And then when Kirby took the job at Georgia, he convinced him to come to Georgia.
5 stars on Rivals.com, unless you're checking some of the other losers out there.
What was he overall, though?
He was the number 3 prospect in the entire state of Georgia, number 3
quarterback overall.
Pro-style quarterback, number 20 overall prospect.
Oh, all right. Well, okay. Well, he plays like it. He's good.
He's good, man.
And that was always what was so bizarre about. I was just thinking of Eason, because the Eason kid was like a big to-do deal coming out of Washington too, and then he left. But the decision by Fields to go to Georgia just didn't make any sense, because there was no way you could have watched Georgia in 2017 with the way Fromm ran that offense and thought, yeah, man, I'm going to sneak right in there and start playing. Like, you get it with Lawrence at Clemson.
Oh, he choked it away in the national championship game.
Yeah,
the second half.
Man, I think I'm going to play right away. Like, the Lawrence going to Clemson, I mean, you're watching Kelly Bryant, you're like, yeah, okay, this won't be much of a challenge. Jacob Fromm is a whole different deal, man. Jake Fromm is a good quarterback. He is an NFL quarterback. And so for Fields to go there at all, I don't know what he was expecting. And you know what I mean? Like, now look, he could have
We don't know what the coaches tell these kids either.
You don't. Yeah. And I'm sure he didn't think he was going to play in 2018 and only throw like 35 passes in a whole season, because they won games by a bunch of points. And he never really got a chance to throw. I don't think he threw his first pass until like week 8, something crazy. So I get that, but I just don't understand what he thought was going to happen. Did he think he was like that? A guy that played in the national championship game and was, a couple seconds away from winning the thing, a couple plays, I should say. He thought he was going to come in from day one as a true freshman and beat that kid out. And that kid's legit. He's a good player. This isn't Kelly Bryant or Jalen Hurts. This is a NFL quarterback. And it didn't happen for him. He didn't get to play. Well, of course he didn't get to play. And now, because of that, you're going to bounce? And I guess I sound like a jilted Georgia fan or a Georgia alum, which I am. But I just that's where this sport is now. And I was telling you and Ira after the game that I saw something on Twitter where somebody remarking, one of the UGA beat writers remarking, well, if Justin Fields leaves, that means they only have 2 scholarship quarterbacks next year, Fromm and the back, and whoever the kid coming in this year is. And I'm like, yeah, man. Welcome to college football. Everybody only has 2 quarterbacks. Have you been paying attention? You're not going to keep a 5-star sitting on the bench for 2 years. That's not going to happen. So now the real reason Wake Up War Chant is talking about it is because there was also a report in ESPN. And number one, it's not a done deal. His family came out and said they haven't decided for sure. We'll see. Kirby might start him in the Sugar Bowl and let him play the whole game. Let him throw it 70 times. I don't know. But he is expected to play in the or stay at least through December, and that it was the USA Today story that said that he's probably going to be transferring. They denied it and said they still haven't decided yet. Usually when there's smoke, there's fire, and he probably will transfer. But anyway, there was an ESPN report saying that if he did transfer, the 3 main schools that he would be looking at are Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Florida State. And Florida State was in on him early. Now, it was a different coaching staff with a different track record with QBs, granted. But he apparently, Florida State, he still has he feels a connection, or there's a chance at least that Florida State would be in the mix for him. That would be a really big deal. And if I'm Willie Taggart, what was it for Cam Newton? Was it like 180?
Yeah, something like that.
All right, so you're telling me. So Fields transfers to Florida State, but he can't play in 19, right? Can't play.
Correct. Yeah, because he's not a grad transfer, everybody.
Not a grad transfer, just a freshman, unless he's Doogie Howser and is already graduated in a year at Georgia, and Georgia is like the Harvard of the South, so that's impossible. But if you have him waiting in the wings, it almost doesn't matter what happens in 19, baby. You could go 3-9 and be like, yeah, but we got Mr. Superstar Heisman's playing next year. But if you fire me, he's gone. That's some real job leverage right there. So I'm saying at least
he wouldn't transfer again. I mean, you get
sure he would, and he'd be allowed to go transfer without penalty, probably, because his coach got fired. So
that's a good point.
That being said, if Cam was 180,
I don't know. Could he really, though? I don't think he could transfer. Like, if he comes to Florida State, sits out 19, and somehow Taggart got fired, I don't think he could enroll somewhere immediately in 2020.
I mean, you can get waivers and stuff. It happens a lot. It's happened a lot more frequently now in the NCAA. It's not great. It's not guaranteed.
But Shea Patterson was like, the coach.
Dan Wolken, the guy that wrote the USA Today story, said that in his story initially, he said that Fields might be eligible to play in 19. He's going to ask for a waiver, and then he said the reasoning would be because of the Georgia baseball player that used racist language at the football game and got suspended or expelled from school, that would be something they could put in their waiver. It's like, well, I don't know that you can say these guys the whole town is racist, the school is racist.
The story that's been removed, I think.
Oh, has it? Okay.
Fields was also the subject of a racially bigoted comment, but
I just can't imagine that would be enough to say, oh, sure, you can play wherever you want, man. But either way, Willie Taggart. He already gave $1 million for the football facility. Gave him some goodwill. I'm just saying, as a cost-effective cost analysis, what would be worth it to Willie Taggart to pay Justin Fields to come to Florida State?
Willie's getting paid either way. Even if it doesn't work out here, he's going to walk out.
But if he wants to be here for 15
right.
years, I'm not even saying that. I'm not saying he should pay. Obviously, I'm joking. This is tongue-in-cheek. I'm saying what would be the prorated? What would he be worth to Willie Taggart?
Well, I mean, he didn't really look all that good. But, I mean, he's a hell of a bargaining chip if you're Willie Taggart.
Quarter mil?
Yeah. I mean, if Cam Newton got 180.
Cam was one, but that was 2010, man. It's interest rates.
That was before the stock market was up to like 55,000 or whatever.
But, either way, that would be, if somehow that happened and he had Fields waiting in the wings in 19, if I'm Justin Fields, I would go to Oklahoma right now. I'd already be on a flight there. Yeah. But if he somehow landed Justin Fields and he was waiting in the wings, that does change everything. Fair or not.
Oh, yeah.
My man's waiting in the – it's like, it kind of is like when John Isaac was coming to Florida State in basketball.
Oh, for sure.
You couldn't – I don't think Hamilton was ever close to being fired anyway. But if he was, well, when you have Jonathan Isaac in your back pocket, man, that's a and again, I'm not talking about money, finances. Right. I'm just saying he was coming. You have the highest rated player ever coming to Florida State. Man, that's a good bargaining chip to be like, look, if you fire me, you're losing Jonathan Isaac and you're setting the program back 5 years as you try to rebuild it. So Willie Taggart could have that same little bargaining chip. Old Justin Fields waiting in the wings as Jalen Hurts leads them to a 7-5 season in 19. You just go SEC all day, back to back.
It's like some people thought that, Sam Howell was going to hold us hostage on getting an offensive coordinator hire. Now it's going to be like Justin Fields is going to hold the university,
That's what Taggart should do, by the way, is
guys.
like, look, man, Justin Fields wants to come here. Yeah. He wants to come here. I'm going to tell him he can't. I'm going to tell him, yeah, come on. Unless you tell me right now you're coming to Florida State, and then I'll tell him go somewhere else. You got to let me know, though, Sam. I can't be hanging out in the wind, Sam. You got to tell me. Yeah. Otherwise, go have fun playing for Mac Brown. I'm going to be winning championships with a taller Charlie Ward.
It sounds really good. I like it. I'm an impatient guy. I don't want to wait till
19
20
or 20. Yeah,
play.
2020. Well, again, who knows? It's hard to really.
And I don't know the whole backstory, but again, I mean, you talk about you don't like Kelly Bryant quitting on his team in the middle of a season. This kid, freshman year, just up and leaves.
But he played hey, man, he was on the field for the biggest play of the whole season. He's like, give me the ball in this fake punt. Watch what happens. But it wasn't in the middle of the season. It's after the season's over. They're not playing for anything anymore. I mean, they're playing the Sugar Bowl, but he did stay. He did, I assume, try to win the job.
But it's a true freshman starting behind a true sophomore, and he knew what he was signing up for. He's like, I'm done, I'm out. That's
the way of the world. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. I was criticizing him. I don't understand what he thought was going to happen when he got to Georgia.
Really talking about kids that quit on this team during Clemson. I mean, the guy just kind of quit on Georgia, but whatever.
You can do that with a 5-star quarterbacks, though. They can be like that. You can welcome them into the mix a little bit.
They have what we like to call leverage.
Yeah.
Bring it on, man. But still, I got to figure out something for 19. I ain't ready to throw in the.
Hey man, Hurts graduated. He walked this weekend, so he's out there. Maybe the kid at Arizona's out there. Sam Howell is out there. James Blackman's out there. They'll have somebody running the offense. They assume, theoretically, we'll also have an offensive coordinator by August. Yeah. So, a lot of things to look forward to.
Yeah. Well, maybe we've had about 30 minutes, and we still got to get old Langston on. There was a back and forth I've had with somebody on Twitter. It's been pretty respectful, though. I wanted to sort of maybe button up, but maybe we'll save it for another day. We've done a lot today, I think.
Yeah, and also tomorrow we need to get to your rant on race.
Well, this is kind of part of it.
Okay, we'll do that tomorrow then. All right.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Corey's done. Which means you guys are going to tune out. But
that's not true. You got recruiting news coming.
Yeah, Michael Langston's coming up right after this. Keep it here. It's Wake Up War Chant.
You're listening to Wake Up War Chant, low carb beer for the Seminole soul. Back to Aslan and Corey.
Welcome back to Wake Up War Chant. Aslan here. Michael Langston joining us on the program. Michael, I probably know off the top of my head, I don't know, 4 or 5 people's cell phone numbers. You're one of them now.
That's good.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but I'll take it as good right now.
It's good, man. You're the man of the hour. You're the man of the day. You're the man of the week. This is your time to shine. Lots of good stuff percolating in the world of Florida State recruiting right now. Obviously, early signing period starts on Wednesday, but on Monday, Florida State picked up 2 potential key pieces to the rebuild for Willie Taggart on the offensive line. What do you think about the additions, I guess, the verbal commitments of Jay Williams and then our guy from Miami Central?
Yeah, both of them are very good pickups and certainly positions in need. Maurice Smith was the latter one, happened later on Monday evening. He's a guy they've been focused on for a little while, and I think that one kind of opened up. I'd heard the JUCO offensive lineman Desmond Bland didn't look likely for FSU there, so I think FSU that opened up a spot where they could go after Maurice and Maurice is obviously everyone knows Telly Lockett was a former Miami Central head coach, so there was a lot of connections there, and he had camped at FSU twice the last 2 years, so he knew there was interest there, and I think that's a big pickup for a pure center, and FSU needs center help with Everly obviously graduating, so I think that was a big pickup. He's very talented, athletic center that can hit the second level really well in run plays, and then also pass protection. He's very good, so I think that's a very good fit for FSU. He's a guy that will help them obviously immediately just on having more depth there and having a guy that can compete down the line for the starting job. And then you have the guy we covered last night, which is Jay Williams, offensive tackle, JUCO. He's a guy that they really started pushing for probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and a guy that Greg Fryer went to personally see and watch in person. And I think he's a guy that hasn't been playing offensive line a long time, but very good frame, very good hands, finishes blocks hard. He is going to be a physical finisher when you watch this kid, when you see how he finishes. And I still need to clean up some stuff on technique, but both of these guys are big pickups because it's guys that give you options as far as what they can use next year. And if there's anything FSU needs in the offensive line, it's options. And these guys are 2 very good ones. I think they will fit in just fine at FSU. And we had talked about these guys were probably coming, but even still, you never know with recruiting. And so they're both really big pickups for FSU to kind of get the ball rolling heading into this big signing day.
Don't need you to make any sort of coaching predictions here, Michael, but the fact that they were able to get these 2 offensive linemen, things seem to be trending favorably for Will Putnam, the offensive lineman out of Plant High School in Tampa. Seems like, some schools have had guys recruit players and then they've gone elsewhere, but it seems like Greg Fry has been sort of instrumental in getting these guys on board, so it'd be tough to imagine him not being part of the plans moving forward.
It's hard to see that. Will Putnam, still not a done deal, but things are, I think, a positive situation. I get the impression that Will favors FSU. I think they haven't technically made the final decision yet. I know his parents really like Clemson, so I think it's Clemson or FSU, but I would slide more towards FSU. I think there's a good chance of pulling that off. But, I agree with you that it's hard to see if you're going to put this much time into these guys with Greg Fry that all of a sudden would just tail off, especially when you hear how these guys talk about, Greg, and being a big part of them choosing FSU because they feel comfortable with him. They feel comfortable he's coaching them. So, yeah, it's hard to see. I don't know what coaching decisions they're going to make, but you got to believe that he's in their future plans of what they want to do.
Back to Jay Williams and Maurice Smith real quick. Do we expect those? I know Jay Williams is going to sign on Wednesday. Is Maurice Smith expected to also sign on Wednesday? Are those two guys that Florida State expects to enroll in spring? Jay will be at FSU on January 5th. And then with Maurice, I'm not sure if he's enrolled early, but I believe he is. I want to say he is. So he might be here in January as well. I'll have to check on that. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I believe Maurice Smith's going to enroll early too. All right. So I guess what's some of the juice was always in that first Wednesday in February, obviously, and with Bobby Bowden at the helm, there was always Florida State closing so strongly. Is there any drama setting up for Wednesday in terms of what Florida State's chasing and thereafter? Well, I would think the big ones that we'll be waiting on, and I think Will Putnam might be a night before signing day, so I think that could happen. Like we might hear something like Tuesday. We'll have to wait and see on that. We haven't got any confirmation from Plant High School when they're doing it, but I wouldn't be surprised if he announced it like the night before. And then the other ones we're waiting on, certainly linebacker Derek Hall. He's supposed to be deciding on signing day on the 19th. So we're waiting on that one. And then locally, you got Raymond Woody over here at Woody Jr. over there at Florida High that, we'll be following that one as well. And then the two other guys that we had covered last night, you have at Carroll City, Miami, Florida, Carroll City is defensive back Jarvis Brownlee, and then Malcolm Ray, the defensive lineman that FSU is heavily involved in. I think FSU is going to flip both of those guys. So flip Ray because Jarvis had already decommitted from Miami, but I think they're going to get both of those guys. So I think those are some of the main ones I can think of off the top of my head that we'll be waiting on. Obviously, you have Jaden Hazelwood will decide wide receiver. Probably not going FSU, but I think FSU, Georgia, Miami are the main teams there. Hear a lot of buzz about Georgia, but the rub there is he's really close friends with Justin Fields. So if Justin Fields is transferring from Georgia, that could have an impact on Jaden. So we have to just keep monitoring that stuff. But I think those are some of the main ones right now, Aslan, that I will definitely be following and keeping track of. Michael Langston, recruiting analyst for WarChant.com and Rivals.com, joining us here on Wake Up WarChant. Excuse me. A guy like Derek Hall, is he a 50-50 kind of coin flip for Florida State? Some of these more, the guys like Will Putnam and stuff, are these 50-50 in your mind, or are these kind of hedging or leaning towards Florida State, do you think? I think FSU had some momentum, and I think FSU feels cautiously optimistic that they can pull off this with Derek Hall. He's the top priority to finish off that linebackers class of being the fourth linebacker. If they don't get him, I could see them pushing for JUCO Lakia Henry. He visited this weekend. Everything I've got is that FSU pushes, there's a good chance that he will be your fourth linebacker. So, but I think the main priority is waiting on Hall. You hear some buzz about Ole Miss, and then there's some buzz about Auburn, and then we've already talked about the MIM. So I think that one's just kind of up in the air. I don't have a call either way, of how that's going to shake down with Derek Hall. So I'm just going to keep following that and see what we can find out. But I don't really have a call either way for that one. And then just a lot of drama, man. A lot of drama for signing day. Yeah. And before I let you go, Michael, just back to Justin Fields. How surprised were you when you heard the report come from USA Today? Now, as Corey said in the first segment, his parents have come out and said they have not made a decision. But when you saw that first tweet or that report about Justin Fields looking to transfer and then possibly ESPN saying that Florida State was in the mix, we've heard of possible grad transfers, but he would not be a grad transfer. That caught me by surprise, man. I was quite floored, and the fact that he's thinking about Florida State, that's pretty cool, man, right? It's interesting. It's interesting. Not totally shocking when you watch this, Georgia play this year. That
it seemed like he can never get into the game, and then Franz has been the guy, and it's like hard to see them cementing him passing from as this thing's going on. But at the same time, he's a competitor, and he probably wants to play, and he probably wants to go somewhere where he can get on the field. And so I wasn't really shocked when I first saw it. I was kind of like, yeah, that's not really surprising, but at the same time, it's so big. I mean, it's just big news. I mean, it could impact everything, could impact so much stuff, especially if FSU was able to get in there and possibly pull a transfer off with that. And then all this stuff. I mean, we keep talking about Sam Howell, but, man, I don't think we'll be talking about Sam Howell if somehow that happened where FSU could pull that one. But, that's going to be interesting to follow. I think on Sam Howell, I'm leaning toward. I think he'll go to North Carolina. Just if I had a gut feeling, usually just the fact that there's so much silence just kind of leads me to believe that that usually when you have this much silence, it's like it's probably not good for the committed team. But I haven't heard anything substantial or anything that's dead ironclad. But if I had a gut feeling, I just think. I would be surprised if he didn't go to, or if he eventually didn't go with North Carolina, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
One last thing, I lied. What about the Lance Legendre? Is he committing early, or is he a February guy?
Yeah, he will be a February guy. We will have, say Sam doesn't end up at FSU, I've already been told that there is several plans for FSU that they've already worked on. I do not know the names. But we will definitely have a lot more names if that does happen, and we'll address the quarterback situation. Lance is one of them, but besides that, there's going to be other names that we go in depth with that we cover. So it's definitely not just Lance that they're looking at. They're looking at a lot of guys.
See, folks, you know this. We tape all this. So the answers that Michael Langston doesn't have right now, as I'm talking to him, he has this moment when you're listening to the show. Check them out on the premium recruiting board on warchant.com. Use the promo code WARCHANT30. Get 30 free days, and I dare you to not re-up for a year because you're going to want to know what's going on in February when the second signing period reopens back up. Michael, as always, man, I appreciate your time, bud. Thanks.
You got it, man.
Thanks for listening to Wake Up War Chant, folks. We'll catch up with you later. Have a great one.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.